Hi everyone, glad to have you here. This is the place where we share real horror stories that will make you think twice before turning off the lights. If you enjoyed true creepy experiences, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now let's get into today's story. A few years ago, I lived alone in a small, quiet house tucked inside a neighborhood where nothing strange ever happened. It was the kind of place where people left their doors unlocked and neighbors greeted each other by name. I never felt unsafe there, not even once. That's why what happened that night has stuck with me ever since. It was a normal evening. I went to bed like usual and drifted off to sleep quickly. But in the middle of the night, something jolted me awake. I had no idea why at first. Then I heard it. The sound of the doorbell ringing through the house. It wasn't just once, it rang again. I sat up, my heart already picking up speed. No one ever rang my doorbell at that hour. I slowly got out of bed and crept down the hallway toward the living room. I leaned toward the window and cautiously peeked out. There was someone standing on my front step. He was dressed as a clown. His costume was detailed and expensive looking, the kind you'd see in a movie or professional haunted house. His face paint was perfect, like it had been done with care. He didn't move. He just stood there staring straight at the door. I stepped back quickly, afraid he might see me. A moment later, he knocked. Slow, deliberate knocks that echoed through the house. I kept low and moved to a better angle behind the living room curtain. From there, I could still see him. He hadn't left. He wasn't even looking around. He just stood there staring, like he knew someone was watching from inside. After a while, he stepped away from the front door. For a second, I thought it was over. But then I saw him move along the side of the house, toward the area where my bedroom was. I backed away from the window and hurried toward the hallway. I got into my room and went straight for the window. That's when I saw him again. He was right there, face pressed close to the glass, staring. I froze for a second, then jumped back and ran out. My hands were shaking and I had no idea what to do. I waited in the hallway for what felt like forever. Then I decided to go back and check. Maybe he was gone. When I carefully opened the bedroom door again, he had disappeared. I let out a breath, hoping that meant it was really over. But then I heard something new, a loud pounding on the back door. It had to be him. This time I didn't wait around. I grabbed my phone and called the police. I told them a man dressed like a clown was in my backyard trying to break in. As I spoke to the dispatcher, the banging stopped. I didn't go check. I didn't want to see him again. I stayed in the living room, watching the windows, trying to keep calm. A few minutes later, I peeked out the back window. He was still there. He was crouched in the corner of the yard, staring toward the house. When he noticed me watching him, he stood up and moved into my neighbor's yard. He disappeared behind their house. Not long after that, the police arrived. I told them everything and gave a full description. The costume alone made him easy to identify. They searched my yard but didn't find anyone. They checked with a few neighbors, but no one else had seen him. They told me to call back if he returned and said they'd patrol the area for a while. I stayed up that night, checking every window again and again. But he never came back. And he never returned after that. I still think about it sometimes. Who was he? What did he want? What would have happened if I had opened the door? Maybe it was some twisted prank. Or maybe it was something much worse. I'll never know.
Back in the summer, I was browsing Facebook Marketplace looking for cheap furniture. I had used the platform a few times before to buy and sell random things, and it had always gone smoothly. This time, though, things felt different. I was looking for a simple desk, nothing fancy, just something basic that I could repaint or customize later. After scrolling for a while, I found one listed for a very low price. It looked worn down, but solid, exactly what I needed. The seller's name was Corey. I messaged him and asked if the desk was still available. He replied quickly and said I could come by the next day. All I had to do was give him a heads up before I arrived. The following day, I texted him, got the address, and set out in my SUV. I had already taken the back seats out so I'd have space to load the desk. When I reached Corey's neighborhood, something about it gave me an uneasy feeling. A lot of the houses looked neglected. Some had broken windows or graffiti, and others seemed completely abandoned. Corey's house didn't stand out much from the rest. It was a small white home with peeling paint and grass that hadn't been cut in a long time. I double-checked the address to be sure I was in the right place. After parking near the curb, I texted Corey to let him know I was outside. He replied and told me to come in. I walked through the overgrown yard and knocked on the door. It took a while, but eventually a man answered. He had long hair and a big beard. I told him I was there for the desk, and he nodded, then stepped aside and pointed to it. The desk was already near the door, so I didn't have to go far inside. But even from the entryway, I noticed something strange. The house was nearly empty. There was no other furniture, no couch, no chairs, not even decorations, just the desk. Corey offered to help carry it, so we each grabbed a side and hauled it to the car. Once it was in the back, I gave him the money, he said thanks, and walked back to his house. I got in my SUV and drove home. Later that day, I unloaded the desk by myself and brought it inside. That's when I really looked at it for the first time. It had a few drawers, and I started opening them to see if they were clean. Most were completely empty, but in the last one, tucked all the way at the back, I noticed something taped to the inside. It was an envelope. Curious? I opened it. Inside were several photographs, the kind you get from a disposable camera. The first few were odd. They were pictures of my own Facebook profile. It looked like someone had taken photos of a computer screen while viewing my posts. I flipped through the rest, and my stomach dropped. One showed the outside of my apartment building from the street. Another was a zoomed-in shot of me walking up to Corey's house. There was even one of me stepping out of my car. At that point, my hands were shaking. I didn't know what to think. I went back on Facebook to look for Corey's account, but it was gone. Either he deleted it or blocked me. I couldn't find any trace of him. I never reported it. I didn't know what I'd even say. I kept the desk because it was still useful, but the envelope disappeared sometime later. I must have misplaced it or thrown it away. To this day, I still wonder what Corey's deal was. Maybe it was some twisted joke. Maybe something worse. But I'm just thankful I never saw him again.
A while back, my husband and I decided to hold a garage sale in our suburban neighborhood. We had a lot of stuff we no longer used, and figured it was worth seeing if we could sell any of it before donating the rest. After clearing out closets and storage spaces, we organized everything and set up tables in the driveway and garage. Our garage was normally clean and pretty empty aside from the usual things like a fridge, a lawnmower, and our car. Still, there was more than enough space for us to lay out the items and keep everything sheltered in case of rain. Luckily, the weather was great all weekend, and we had a steady stream of people stopping by. My husband and I took turns sitting at a table near the front as the cashier. We were surprised by how much we sold by the end of the first day. As things wound down in the evening, my husband got in his car to go take down the signs we had posted on nearby streets. I stayed behind and handled the last few customers before we packed everything up for the night. Once everything was inside the garage, we closed it up and headed into the house. The rest of the night felt normal. Hours later, we were on the couch watching a movie when we heard something that made us freeze. It was the sound of a door opening and then closing. Confused, we got up and slowly made our way toward the kitchen, where the sound had come from. Just as we stepped in, I caught a glimpse of someone. A man. He darted out of sight before I could get a good look. My husband and I quickly backed out and rushed to the bedroom, locking the door behind us. From there, we grabbed our phones and called the police. We couldn't tell what the man was doing or why he was inside our house.
The only thing we knew for certain was that someone we didn't know was walking around our home. We moved into the bathroom connected to our bedroom and stayed as quiet as possible. From time to time, we could hear him moving somewhere on the other side of the house. We didn't dare open the door. We just waited. Eventually, we heard sirens outside. The police entered and searched the entire house. A few minutes later, they found the man hiding in our basement. He refused to say why he was there, but the officers figured out how he got in. He had been inside the garage. It hit me all at once. During the garage sale, he must have slipped in and hidden somewhere out of sight. When we brought everything back inside and closed the garage door, he was already in there. And because we never used to lock the door between the garage and the house, he was able to walk right in hours later. We had always thought of the garage as just another room. It felt safe. That changed instantly. We never found out what his intentions were. Maybe he planned to steal something. Maybe worse. All I know is he waited for hours before coming into our home. We were lucky nothing happened. After that night, we changed our habits completely. The door between the house and the garage stays locked at all times now.
Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give the video a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a terrifying tale. See you in the next one.